The Flatmate Agreement was simple, until feelings wrote their own clause. Vanessa Cole dragged her suitcase up 3 flights of narrow stairs, cursing every chipped step of the Brixton flat. Sweat clung to her forehead, and the wheel of her bag jammed against the last step like it was trying to betray her. "This better be worth it," she muttered. The front door creaked open. A tall figure leaned against the frame, arms folded, expression unreadable. White t-shirt, track bottoms, hair slightly messy. He didn't look like the polished kind of professional she'd expected. "You're late," he said flatly. Vanessa blinked. "I'm sorry. Was there a clock-in system I missed?" His mouth twitched, but he didn't smile. Spare rooms down the hall, second door on the left, kitchen rotas on the fridge. No parties, no overnight guests, no loud music. Vanessa wheeled her suitcase past him, narrowing her eyes. "Wow, welcome home to you too." The flat smelled faintly of coffee and disinfectant. The living room was neat, almost too neat, with law books stacked on the coffee table and a single throw blanket folded military style on the sofa. Her room wasn't much, just a double bed, a wardrobe, and a window that overlooked the main street. She dropped her bag, pulled in a long breath and whispered, "Survive 3 months, save money, move on." Back in the kitchen, she found him standing at the counter, scribbling notes into a leather-bound pad. His handwriting was sharp, controlled. The fridge was covered with printed sheets, shopping lists, bills, a strict rota that mapped out cleaning days. Vanessa opened the cupboard and spotted a lonely row of Tesco value noodles. "You're a student?" she asked. "Something like that." He didn't look up. Vanessa grinned. "Figures, the Tesco noodles give you away." He finally met her eyes then, something cool sparking there. "They're efficient." "Efficient," she echoed, pulling out a glass for water. "That's one word for broke." This time, the corner of his mouth lifted, not quite a smile, more like he was entertained but refused to admit it. That evening, Tasha FaceTimed as Vanessa balanced takeaway boxes on her lap. "So, flatmate hot or not?" Vanessa rolled her eyes. "Hot, please. He's stiff, rules for everything, eats noodles like he's allergic to flavor." Tasha leaned close to her screen. "Send me a picture." Bet he's secretly some posh banker hiding from his family. More like a stressed-out law student who needs therapy. What Vanessa didn't see was the door half open, her flatmate standing quietly in the hall, overhearing every word. He closed it softly and returned to his desk, pen tapping against a thick pile of case files. Later that night, Vanessa wandered into the kitchen for water. He was there again, bent over papers. He glanced up. "You're noisy when you move in?" "And you're nosy when people breathe," she shot back. A flicker of amusement crossed his face. He closed the file, stood, and said, "By the way, Oliver." "That's my name." Vanessa raised her glass in mock salute. "Vanessa, you know, your future nightmare flatmate." For the first time since she'd arrived, Oliver's smirk almost became a smile. What neither of them knew was that this spare room arrangement was about to become the most complicated contract of their lives. Vanessa woke the next morning to the smell of coffee and the sound of a printer spitting out paper. She dragged herself onto the kitchen, hair still in a bonnet, only to find Oliver already dressed, shirt tucked, tie knotted, shoes polished to a shine. "Do you live in this kitchen?" she asked, reaching for a mug. He slid a stack of papers onto the table. "House rules. Read before you cause trouble." Vanessa frowned, flipping through the pages. A typed list, numbered, Bold headings, noise restrictions, guest policy, cleaning schedule, fridge etiquette. "You're joking," she said, holding up the stapled sheets. "I don't joke about order," he replied, buttering toast without looking at her. Vanessa scanned the rules, eyebrows climbing higher with each line. No cooking after 10 p.m., no leaving shoes in the hall, no unwashed dishes longer than 30 minutes. 30 minutes? What if I'm marinating chicken? "Then wash the bowl first," he said calmly. Vanessa dropped the papers onto the counter. "You've officially lost it." Oliver finally glanced at her, expression cool but eyes faintly amused. "Sign the bottom. It keeps things clear. You want me to sign a contract just to live here? Think of it as clarity." "We avoid conflict," Vanessa leaned against the counter, smirking. "Or you avoid me existing like a normal human being." Oliver didn't rise to it. He simply pushed the pen towards her. "Clarity, Vanessa." With a dramatic sigh, she scribbled her name. "Fine. But when I accidentally break Rule 7 about excessive laughter, don't sue me." That evening, Vanessa FaceTimed Tasha, waving the signed Flatmate Clause at the camera. "Look at this madness. I live with a wannabe prison warden." Tasha squinted. "Hold up. What's his full name on the document?" Vanessa glanced down. "Oliver Ashford." The line went quiet for a moment. Then Tasha's eyes widened. "Vanessa, Ashford, as in Ashford Chambers? Barristers, the family with their own foundation?" Vanessa laughed. "Please, he eats Tesco noodles. He can't even afford ketchup." "I'm telling you," Tasha pressed, "that name is loaded." "Google him." Vanessa shook her head, still laughing. "No way. He's just a control freak who gets off on cleaning schedules." But later that night, while brushing her teeth, curiosity gnawed. She tiptoed past Oliver's closed door, intending to grab laundry from the hall cupboard. A stack of envelopes sat on the console table. On top, one with his name, Mr. Oliver James Ashford, barrister at law. The crest of the High Court stamped in the corner. Vanessa froze, toothbrush hanging from her mouth. Footsteps. She looked up. Oliver stood in the hall, expression unreadable. His gaze flicked from her face to the letter still in her hand. "Enjoying the post?" he asked evenly. Vanessa dropped it like it burned. I was just..." "Curiosity," he interrupted, stepping closer. "Isn't in the clause." Her cheeks burned. She stammered, "So, you're not a broke student?" For the first time, Oliver allowed a proper smile, slow and deliberate. "Not exactly." Vanessa's stomach flipped. She didn't know if she wanted to run or demand he explain everything. And Oliver looked at her like he was enjoying every second of her confusion. Vanessa avoided Oliver for 2 days. She wasn't sure if it was because he'd caught her snooping in his post or because now she knew who he really was. Not broke, not stressed out, not just noodles, but Ashford, the kind of name whispered in legal circles and stamped on glossy magazines. When she finally bumped into him in the kitchen, he leaned against the counter, sipping tea like nothing had happened. "You're quiet," he remarked. Vanessa shot him a look. "You lied." "I didn't lie," Oliver said smoothly. "You assumed. You let me believe you were broke," he raised an eyebrow, "and you let me believe you respected privacy clauses." Vanessa groaned, snatching her toast. "You're impossible." He smirked, clearly enjoying himself. "Perfect timing, actually." "I need a favor," Vanessa froze mid-bite. "From me?" "My sister's gala is this weekend. Family expects me to bring someone. I'd rather not fuel their matchmaking attempts." Vanessa narrowed her eyes. "Let me guess. You want me to play the role of doting girlfriend?" Oliver's smirk deepened. "You're quick," Vanessa laughed. "Absolutely not." "Open bar," he countered. "No. Free dinner, lobster." "Steak," Vanessa hesitated. "Tempting, but no." He leaned closer. "Designer gown, my treat." Her heart betrayed her with a flutter. She crossed her arms. "This is absurd." "Absurd is better than being paraded in front of aristocratic strangers," Oliver said calmly. "Besides, you're the only one I trust not to turn it into a scandal." Vanessa stared at him. "Trust? From him?" She shook her head. "Fine. But if anyone finds out, I'm dead, and I'm picking the dress. The gala was held in a grand hall near Kensington, chandeliers glittering like constellations above polished marble floors. Vanessa's dress, a sleek emerald gown that hugged her figure, had her second-guessing every step. Oliver, in a tailored black suit, offered his arm with casual ease. "Relax," he murmured. "You look fine." "Fine," Vanessa hissed. "I've spent 3 hours trying to breathe in this corset and all I get is fine." His lips curved. "Correction. Distractingly fine." Her cheeks warmed. She looped her arm through his anyway. Inside, whispers followed them. "Oliver Ashford has a girlfriend. Who is she?" Vanessa felt every stare, every measuring glance. She kept her chin high, forcing confidence she didn't feel. Oliver played the part effortlessly, hand at her back, introducing her with calm authority, even stealing small glances at her that made the act feel dangerously real. During dinner, his sister leaned across the table. "She's lovely, Oliver." Different from the usual crowd, Vanessa almost choked on her wine. Oliver simply smiled. "That's why she's here." After hours of speeches and small talk, they finally slipped out to the terrace. The night was cool, city lights twinkling in the distance. Vanessa leaned against the railing. "That was exhausting." Oliver stood beside her, hands in his pockets. "You handled it better than half the barristers inside." She laughed softly. "Glad I could save you from matchmaking." His gaze lingered on her. It wasn't just that. Vanessa turned. "Then what?" He hesitated, then smirked. "You looked good in green." Her heart flipped, but before she could respond, footsteps echoed behind them. A family member called Oliver back inside. As he left, Vanessa realized something terrifying. The line between pretending and feeling was blurring, and she wasn't sure she wanted it to stop. The Monday after the gala, the flat felt different, like somebody had moved the furniture 2 inches to the left. Vanessa caught herself listening for Oliver's footsteps, noticing the way he cleared his throat before a call, the small crease that appeared between his brows when he read. She hated that she noticed. She noticed anyway. He was quieter too. Polite, distant, almost careful. The kind of careful that meant he was thinking too much. On Wednesday night, the rain came hard, smearing Brixton streetlights into gold rivers. Vanessa stood at the hob, stirring jollof in a dented pot, music low on her phone. Oliver walked in with his sleeves rolled, tie gone, hair a fraction messy in a way that made something skip inside her. He paused, sniffed, eyes softening. "Smells unreal." She arched a brow. "Rule 12 says no cooking after 10. It's 9:58. Call your solicitor." He leaned on the counter, pretended to study the rota. "I can issue a temporary injunction." "You and your injunctions," she teased, handing him a spoon. "Taste." He did, eyes closing. "That's indecent." "Relax, barrister." It's rice they ate at the tiny table, knees nearly touching, steam fogging the window. Conversation slid from petty things, the passive-aggressive neighbour, the broken dryer, to bigger ones without warning. "Did you always want the law?" Vanessa asked, chin in hand. "No," he toyed with his fork. "I wanted to design boats. My father wanted a legacy." "You're good at this," she said. "But do you like it?" "A beat. Sometimes." "And the gala?" "You seemed perfect. That's the job." He glanced at her. "Perfection is how you avoid questions." She swallowed. "I grew up watching my mum stretch one salary for 4 kids. I told myself if I worked hard enough I'd never feel small again. Some days I still do." He looked at her as if committing the words to memory. "For what it's worth, I didn't bring you because you'd look good on my arm." "Oh?" "I brought you because you make rooms feel honest." Before she could reply, the flat went black. A pop, then darkness. The rain kept drumming. Vanessa squeaked and grabbed his forearm on instinct. "The fuse," he guessed, steady. "Stay here." "I'm not 5. She reached for her phone torch, the beam carving a soft cone between them. In the narrow kitchen, the light turned his jaw to sculpture and his eyes to something warmer than careful. They stood too close in the glow. Her hand still circled his sleeve. Neither moved. "This is against at least 3 clauses," she whispered. "I'm revising them," he said, voice low. Something pulled tight between them. He lifted a hand, slow enough to change his mind, and brushed a loose curl back from her temple. The touch was barely there, electric anyway. "Vanessa," he said. He didn't kiss her. He looked like he wanted to. He didn't. The lights hummed back to life with a sigh, the fridge coughing awake. They blinked at the sudden brightness and stepped apart like choreographed strangers. "Fuse fixed itself," she said, too bright. "Lucky," he replied, equally false. They cleared the table in a flurry of helpfulness. When the sink was full and the counter dry, Oliver set a fresh page on the fridge with a magnet. The Flatmate Clause, amended. Rule 7. Excessive laughter permitted after 10 p.m. when rice is involved. Rule 15. Temporary exceptions for kitchen dancing during blackouts. Clause 19b. Honesty encouraged, even when inconvenient. Vanessa read it, chest tight. "You're ridiculous." "Clarity," he said. She stood there with a tea towel in her hand and 1,000 words in her mouth. Instead, she nodded. Clarity. He turned for his room, then paused in the doorway. "For the record," he said without looking back, "you were never a scandal." When the door clicked shut, Vanessa leaned against the counter, pulse loud, smile helpless. The rules were still on the fridge. They weren't the only things changing. The morning after the blackout, Vanessa found herself lingering in the kitchen longer than usual. Oliver's note still clung to the fridge, neat handwriting spelling out his amendments. She traced the words with her fingertip, heart tight. They'd come so close, too close. By Friday, life in the flat felt like a game of pretend. They passed each other with polite smiles, careful not to touch. But the air between them had weight. That evening, Vanessa came home to find Oliver on the sofa, jacket discarded, shirt unbuttoned at the collar. His laptop sat closed, untouched. A single envelope rested on the coffee table. "What's this?" she asked. "My chambers offered me a post in Edinburgh," he said evenly. 6 months. I'd leave next week. Her throat closed. "Oh," he studied her carefully. "Say something." "What do you want me to say?" "Congratulations," or "good riddance." He almost smiled. "Neither. I wanted to know if you'd care." The room hummed with silence. Vanessa's hands curled into fists. Of course I care. You're my... She stopped. Flatmate, friend, pretend date. None of those words fit. Oliver stood, crossing the space slowly. You know, when we wrote those rules, I thought they'd protect me from chaos. His voice softened. But you were the best kind of chaos. Her eyes burned. Don't do this. Do what? Say things like that and then leave. For a long moment he just looked at her, then sighed. Come with me. She blinked. What? Edinburgh. 6 months. You said once you wanted out of London's noise. Come see what silence looks like. Her heart pounded. I can't just drop everything. Yes, you can. He took her hand, warm and steady. Vanessa, half the rules we wrote don't matter anymore. The only one that does is this. He paused, searching her face. If something feels real, don't run from it. She laughed through tears. That's not a legal clause. It's binding anyway. Her pulse hammered. Edinburgh. Him. Them. It was reckless, absurd, terrifying. Exactly the kind of story she would have mocked months ago. Now it felt like the only thing she wanted. She swallowed. You'll cook noodles. Every night if you like. You'll stop hiding post. Within reason. Her laugh cracked, but she nodded. Fine. But I'm writing the last clause. She grabbed a pen from the counter, scribbled on the fridge page. Clause 20. Whatever happens, we face it together. Oliver read it, then kissed her, finally, like the blackout had only been a rehearsal. When they broke apart, breathless, Vanessa whispered, Clause accepted? He smiled. Clause eternal. Weeks later, the train to Edinburgh cut through green hills and silver rivers. Vanessa leaned against Oliver's shoulder, suitcase tucked overhead, her world lighter than it had been in years. They weren't flatmates anymore. They weren't pretending. They were something new, something written not in neat rules on a fridge, but in every glance, every laugh, every choice to stay. And as the train thundered north, Vanessa realized some clauses weren't meant to be broken. They were meant to be lived. The end.